Hey, what's up, everybody? BDL44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I'm listening to people try to make the argument that Zach LaVine should be somebody the Lakers trade for, and I'm much more interested in trading for someone else on a better contract, or at least somebody whose contract is on par with what it is I'm expecting them to do. Zach LaVine is shooting about 33% from behind the arc, and I know that's not the most important stat, although it's one everyone likes to go to. But DeJounte Murray this season is shooting about 38% from behind the arc, for whatever it's worth. I compared the games that I expect for them to play. DeJounte Murray has had worse injuries, to be honest with you, but has played more consistently over the past 5 seasons. And DeJounte is shaking off some of his injury issues. He's healthy right now. Zach LaVine is dealing with a foot. We dealt with so many damn foot injuries last year. That's one of many reasons why I'm kind of cool on Zach LaVine as well. Bron, AD, D'Lo, they all had foot problems last year. Why do I want to bring in another player with a foot problem? I really don't want the Lakers to go after Zach LaVine, man. I've seen him play poorly too often. I just have. I know he's going to be another D'Lo in my mind. I'm going to want him out of here soon because the basketball IQ ain't there. He's a good scorer, in fact, a great scorer, an amazing athlete, one of the best athletes, but his defense ain't there. He's not going to make plays for others. He needs to be set up. He needs people to get him the ball, and we're likely going to have to trade away our facilitator to get him. DeJounte Murray doesn't have that problem. He's not as lethal of a scorer as Zach LaVine, averaging 20 points a game, 14 points on his career, although a lot of that was skewed by the fact that he was developing as a player a little slowly. Zach LaVine is a guy who's only going to average 3 assists a game. DeJounte is going to average like 8 or 9, so it makes up the difference there. And DeJounte is a defensive player who gets steals, and Zach LaVine doesn't play any defense from what I've been able to see. So it's a lot of stuff that makes me lean for what our needs are. DeJounte. Now, of course, DeJounte's price tag should be higher in terms of what's going out, but even in that, you weigh it against what's coming back, which is a bad contract with Zach versus DeJounte's contract, which is good. So it's not just about what you're sending out. It's about what you're taking back and how much value you expect it to have. They're comparable in some ways based on what your needs are. The Lakers need scoring. They need a microwave scorer. They need a shooter. But for me, if we can stay away from the Zach LaVine contract, that would make me very happy, man. I just don't want no parts of that $38 million contract that's going to inflate to like $60 million at the final year. You're not going to be able to move that. And with him being the limited basketball mind that he is, you're going to be frustrated. And if LeBron James skates, you're going to be left with Anthony Davis and Zach LaVine, and that don't move me. Zach is not going to make anybody better. And by what's being proven over there in Chicago, they're better without him. DeJounte, on the other hand, is a player playing with a bunch of guards surrounding him. Some of them who were hot on his tail. Others who, he's just going to beat out for minutes, but otherwise would be better if he moved on, too, from where he's at in Atlanta. You got, Trae Young, and they're both point guards. He fits a need here. He would be able to have his role. You can see a future with him here. I feel a lot better about him and AD, two-way stars, going forward after LeBron decides to move on. I feel better with DeJounte Murray having the ability to make others better with Anthony Davis on the team going forward for my rebuild, rather than Zach LaVine, who's not going to make nobody better, who's probably not even going to make himself better when he's having a bad game, chucking up shots that don't fall, getting hurt, and all these different things that I just know Zach is prone to do. His contract is bad. So for me, it's like, I'm happy to hear Shams say that we're going after DeJounte Murray. At the very least, to at least let the Chicago Bulls know that we have other ways to go. We don't have to pay for Zach LaVine's contract. If you want us to take Zach LaVine's contract, you need to make it make sense to us rather than just say, okay, you need this player. We don't need his contract. In fact, we probably better not to have it. And I don't really love him as a basketball player either, so that makes it even worse in regards to how I'm viewing it. Chicago had to make me want that contract, and by way of that meaning you're going to take back what I want you to take back, and you're going to give me Caruso, and you're going to probably give me something else too. So I don't see Chicago saying yes to that, not if they love themselves. And they're going to have to find maybe Miami that'll be willing to take that Zach LaVine albatross of a contract. And I think, at the end of the day, as I said this morning in the Lakers video I made, the Lakers don't have to just consider this year's roster. You got to consider what's going to happen over the next 3 and 4 years. You take back the wrong contract, it's going to be hard for you to get out of no man's land. Essentially where you are right now. or worse without your picks. And what we definitely don't want to be is look up in 2027 and suck. You don't want to suck that year because that's the year you give your pick to the Utah Jazz. If we have DeJounte Murray on contract, at the very least, we know we got a hell of a player that year. He'll probably, 30 that year or something like that? He ain't old. So I don't even know if he'll be that old at that point. Zach is a little older than him. I think Zach's probably like 2 years older than him or something like that. So all this Zach LaVine stuff to me, I'm telling you, Chicago going to have to pay me to take that contract, man. I'm not doing that deal unless Caruso's coming back and unless I can keep the stuff I want to keep. Because I don't think that contract does me any good, and I don't think that player makes anyone better. He may help my system this year for this team, but what the hell? I got other things to consider, especially when I'm bringing in multi-year contracts. What's next year's team going to look like? What's the year after that's team's going to look like? That contract's still going to be here. So all this fix this team right now, short-sighted mindset garbage, it's going to have us in the toilet for the next several years. And we've already been there with Russell Westbrook. We're there right now with Gabe Vincent. No more of that. Bring me stuff that's going to be good for me. Bring me stuff that can make me better. And if at all possible, stuff that can make Darvin better, since you refuse to move on from him as a coach. Because he is also a big part of this. If you bring him a Zach LaVine and he don't use Zach right, he have Zach in small ball lineups, you know what I'm saying? He puts Zach at the 5 and all kinds of stupid crap. Your team is going to suffer for it. You know what I mean? And not to say that I think he would actually do that, although you don't know. At least with DeJounte Murray, we know DeJounte Murray's a bit more switchable. You could put DeJounte at the 1, the 2, or the 3, and he's going to have success on both sides of the floor. He's going to make people better on both sides of the floor. He's going to be athletic and fast on both sides of the floor. So for me, it's like that's a no-brainer. I think most people would agree DeJounte's probably the piece for most teams, including us. And I'm pretty sure if the Chicago Bulls could trade Zach LaVine for DeJounte Murray, they would have done it already. So that's another thing I'm considering. It's like, can we win the DeJounte Murray sweepstakes? As I said this morning, not if the NBA is doing what they're supposed to be doing, the rest of the league. Not if they covered DeJounte Murray the way they should. No, we probably shouldn't win that. But we are going to have to make a move for somebody, man. We have to make a move for somebody. I just hope the guy ain't the wrong somebody. And I think Zach LaVine is most definitely the wrong somebody. I'm certain of it. You can't have him and Darvin Ham in the same situation. Hear me on this. No, you do not. No, you don't want that. You don't want that. Okay? This is just what I've come to understand, man. Zach LaVine is going to be athletic, but he's not heady, man. He's going to be taking a lot of shots. He's going to be looking people off. He's going to do stuff defensively. Like, what the hell is that? We got enough of that already. We don't know. You got to be sharp. And I think DeJounte Murray is significantly more sharp, man. He's significantly more sharp. And he's just going to be a better player for the Lakers if we somehow win that battle to get him. Now, I know they're talking about giving up the Austin Reeves, as I told you guys in the video earlier. I don't think the Lakers can really make a meaningful trade without giving up something somebody else would want. You know, you got to find a real patsy that's going to do a trade with you right now that doesn't involve Austin Reeves. You know, you got to find a real patsy, man. That's what it really comes down to. No smart GM is going to let you walk away keeping the only player that you would otherwise not want to trade that should be, you know, somebody you let go of for a good player. It just is what it is. And then that's one of the reasons why I think the Lakers probably would be willing to do a Zach LaVine contract, because they probably don't have to move on from Austin in order to make it happen, because nobody wants Zach LaVine. But neither should you, Lakers. Neither should you. I should tell you something right now. Nobody wants Zach LaVine, and you're going to bring that to yourself? Think about that. Then what happens when you don't want Zach LaVine? When you figure out what the rest of the league figures out? Guess what? Now you can't get rid of him. Why? Because nobody wants Zach LaVine. You can understand this. It's going to be the same problem. Now, if he would have signed a reasonable contract, $25 million a year, maybe even $30 million a year, for what it is he's going to bring to the table as a star-level player, yeah, good contract. You can live with it. Him at this price is an absolute no-go, man. It should be a no-go for everybody. Bulls should be stuck with that. And I encourage the Lakers to leave them with it. So that's what I want to say, man, because there's a lot of content out there. You know, I'm looking up at guys, and they're really, really adamant about getting better, and I want to get better too. They think Zach LaVine's a good fit. He may be if you can bring other stuff together to do the things that he doesn't do once you move on from D'Lo. Can be. But if you're going to move on from D'Lo, who's going to get AD the ball? And don't tell me Bron, don't tell me Austin. You know what I'm saying? Don't say that. You better give me something else. And if you can't come up with the answer to that, then my friend, you have made our team worse. DeJounte ain't gonna give you that problem. He's gonna average a lot of assists. He's gonna average 8 or 9 assists on top of the scoring that he's gonna give you on a nightly basis. And in your uniform, he'll probably make an all-star team or two, maybe more than that. So that's why I'm a DeJounte guy. For me, if I had my choice and pick of the litter, obviously I want Trae Young because that's the guy who I think wants to be here. That's the guy who's the super duper MVP candidate guy. But I think DeJounte Murray ain't that far behind him. He never was. He's always been a star himself, man. So that's why I would like to have DeJounte. If I can't get Trae Young, I'd be happy with DeJounte. But Zach, on that contract, with this coach, hell no, man. Absolutely, positively not. Unless you're bringing back Alex Caruso, who can then, from there, get him the ball with his point guard skills and play some defense with his abilities. But I don't think they're going to be willing to give us Caruso. They could probably move him in a better deal if they're going to move him at all. And Chicago, the fan base is in love with Caruso just like we were. So moving him is something that I don't think is necessary if you're the Bulls. Even if you're rebuilding. Well, I got to move Caruso. I mean, unless Caruso just tells me he wants out of here and wants to contend, I can reset with Caruso on my roster. So that's the problem with that. And if I'm trying to keep the Chicago Bulls fan base happy, I probably will do that. So, yeah, man, I don't see us being able to get Caruso. I don't see us being able to get Kobe White. That's my backcourt if I'm Chicago going forward. I'm not moving either one of them dudes. So, Atlanta looks a little more reasonable, man. And look, as I said earlier, man, I know it's counterproductive for me to ask us to bring a developing player because we need to win now. But just the same, if I can bring a high-level player like Kobe Buffkin to my situation, of whom I thought if we had the opportunity to draft, we would have took him anyway, I think that'd be great. But I do understand the argument for why would you do that when you know damn well you need now talent. I get that part too. But I see myself needing to reset. No different than looking at Zach LaVine saying, I don't want to just pick him up just for this season's fix. I don't want to forego getting talent that can help me over the next several seasons just because I'm interested in this year's fix. And so that's why I want to bring high-level rookies to my team before they blossom. So, I'm recapping things that have already been said. But at the end of the day, we're in no man's land. We got LeBron James playing at a high level. He wants to win. We're not going to move him because it's disrespectful to move him. So you got to do something that makes some sense to make his team good, man. And the first order of business is making the team better because you're not going to fire the coach because it's just, I would love to have a good argument for not firing the coach. But the only one really that I have is that Jeannie doesn't want to pay him for nothing like she's doing the other two coaches that we just fired. And probably ain't going to be able to replace him with anybody better in the short term. But that's all I got, Darvin. It's really all I have, man. So that's really what it comes down to. I'm trying to protect against his weaknesses by not bringing him certain stuff that I know he ain't going to use properly. And that in and of itself is an unnecessary problem to have if you have a one-year window at winning a championship. So, you know what I'm saying? That's what it is, man. The Lakers are stuck, man. The Lakers are stuck. I don't know that I should give up on our championship hope for this season, but it's looking real bleak right now. Christmas time, 2023 is looking bleak. It's not looking good because even if you make a deal like this, it's no guarantee the player's going to stay healthy enough to do what it is you need them to do. And that's another problem with bringing yourself a Zach LaVine. You bring yourself a Zach LaVine, Bron goes down, and now you're stuck not being good enough to win a championship with a player that probably ain't going to do nothing but jack up shots. At least with DeJounte, yeah, we're going to suck. But again, he's making others better. You can move him to the 2 and start a Jalen Hood-Schifino in a tanking system situation, and he and Jalen Hood-Schifino are going to make each other better. You know what I mean? They're going to be make passes off each other. Young guys going to get the ball. AD gets the ball. All these different things. If things go wrong, do you have a young piece with a big contract that helps bring everything else together? And if the answer is no, then you're going to have me ball, Zach LaVine ball, and you're going to go on a 20-game losing streak if everything falls apart. That's how that goes. That's exactly how that goes. He's jacking up shots, and nobody's getting nothing done at all. And for me, I don't want to be left with that piece. As we've said many times, if I'm rendered to only 6 players, are those 6 players people that I don't mind having running out there? And we've talked about how if I'm left with only Taurean Prince, I don't want him to be one of 6 players I got. Zach LaVine is definitely one of those. He cannot be one of the 6 players that I have left if my team goes on a massive injury run where everybody is hurt. He can't be one of them, man. He cannot. So but he probably won't be because he's going to be one of the ones that's hurt. So I'm completely out on Zach, dog. I'm completely out on everything Chicago got that they would be willing to move on from. The only stuff that I really want from Chicago, is, I'll say it again, just like I said earlier today, Alex Caruso and Kobe White. Those are the only 2 players from Chicago I really want. And they ain't going to want to move those guys. Everything else they got, they can keep, man. They can keep. And they can sit in their no man's land hell forever. I don't care nothing about them. I'm trying to get out of my no man's land hell. How the hell am I going to get out of my no man's land hell if I'm bringing to me all the stuff that kept them in no man's land hell? BDL 44, I thank you all for watching. I'm out.